Hey everyone, and welcome. Thanks so much for joining today's session on ShareFile's integrated e-signature. My name is Mary Lou Tiquette, and I'm part of the ShareFile customer success team. I'm excited to spend a while with you today to show just how easy it is to start, send, and manage documents for signature right inside ShareFile. Today we're going to look at a few things: the different ways you can start a document for signature in ShareFile, how to send, track, and manage those signature requests, a few tips and best practices to make the process even smoother for you and your clients. By the end of this session, you will know exactly how to take a document from the beginning to ready to sign to fully executed, all without ever leaving ShareFile. Let's start with a quick overview of why this feature is so valuable. ShareFile's integrated e-signature means you can securely collect legally binding signatures without switching between tools. Everything stays in one place: your files, your folders, your documents, your workflows, and it's automatically stored back in ShareFile once it's signed. It saves time, reduces errors, and keeps your client experience seamless. There's a Send for Signature shortcut on your dashboard. There's a Signature tab in the left navigation pane. Or you can navigate to a document, select the document, and choose Send for Signature. I can show you how you do that. Folders, shared folders, text documents, and you choose the document you'd like to send, and you'll be presented with a Send for Signature. All of these methods take you to the interface used to send the document. Let's send from the Signatures tab. So we'll go directly to the Signatures tab. Once we choose Signatures, we will create a signature request. For this demonstration, I will be choosing Send for Signature. I will then be asked for the document, which can come from different avenues. You can drag a file in or browse ShareFile or your computer. There's also a template option that will be shown a little later. I'm going to choose from ShareFile. Navigate to the shared folder, the text documents, and I'm going to choose the 8879. And then we'll add documents here. Next, we'll be asked who the recipients are. I'm going to be sending this document to 2 recipients. I'm also going to set signer order, which is going to send the document first to signer 1. They will be presented only with the fields that pertain to them for completion. Once they are finished and submit, it will then go on to the second signer. So let's fill in our people. We're going to send to Greg at Gmail. We'll add another recipient, and we'll also send to Greg, but at ShareFile this time. If wanted, the additional recipient can be added here with a designation of viewer. I'll show you what that looks like. So you could choose viewer. This can serve as a CC throughout the process if you have that need. We're not going to do that today. Let's go to the next. Oh, I forgot to do something. So let's go to our previous step. You can back up this way. We're going to set the signer order. Back onto the next step. This is where we will add our fields to be completed by the recipients. We can add text fields, signature, and date, which are all appropriate for this document. Fields can be resized and assigned to the appropriate signer. So we will set a few text fields for the names, for the social security numbers, and we'll actually set these right now. So what we want to do is click into the field, make sure we have it assigned to the appropriate person. And we have a few options here. It's a required field. We definitely want to keep that. We can name the field. So we can say print name. We get down to the next one, which is for the second person, we want to choose the other person's name. It'll change the color. This will designate it to the second signer. And we can name this field as well. For Social Security number, we just want to make sure it's assigned to the right person. And we can name that. Same here. Change it to the other Greg. So our top section is all set. Now we want to set our signature fields. So we have 2 signature fields we need and 2 date fields that we need. Again, we want to make sure that they're assigned to the correct people. Second signature needs to be assigned to Greg number 2. And something I like to do with the date fields is to autofill them. And this autofills them on the date that it's being signed. It takes away some of the need to be scrolling through. We can do a couple of other things here. We can, once we've completed this setup, we can move on to our next step. Before we do that, I just wanted to go through a couple of the other options that we have. Additional fields that are available. They include initials, drop-down options, checkboxes and groups, as well as offering the ability for the signer to include an attachment. So let's move on to the next step. Now, it's important here to determine where you would like the document, the executed document, to return to. For purposes of demonstration, I will have this document returned to the tax folder, which is where I obtained it from. But you can edit this and send to any folder you'd like. Commonly, that would be the client's folder. The document name can be edited if you wish, and you can add a note that will be visible to all signers. Default expiration is 30 days. This also can be edited to a maximum of 365 days. Security options are passcode and knowledge-based authentication. Should you opt for a passcode, we'll see what happens when we turn on the passcode. It gives you an automatic 5-digit code. This can also be edited. And since the code would have to be communicated to the user, most of my, for example, CPA customers often use the last 5 of the Social Security number of the signer. Since that is known, it would not have to be communicated with them. For knowledge-based authentication, this quizzes your customer based on public data. If you choose this option, it's important that their name be their legal name, such as how it appears on their driver's license. Once everything is completed and as we want it, it's time to send the signature request. So let's send for signature. So we can see that it's in progress. And all of the information, we did apply knowledge-based authentication. I kind of didn't mean to do that, but we've done it. So we'll see how that works out, since Greg will be showing us the receiving end of the document. Let's go back to our signature request, and we can see that it's in progress. We can also see how many of the signatures have been submitted. If we click back into the document, after all of the details that we can see, there is also activity. We can see that Greg was emailed the link. As the process goes on, you'll see more and more under this activity. You can see when Greg views, you can see when it's submitted, by the first person when it goes to the second person. Very handy to have this activity. Under the details, before anyone signs this document, you do have the option to revise. So things on the document can be revised as long as no one has signed the document. There's also an option to void. If something happens that you're like, I just haven't done this correctly, I'd like to start over. You can void the document and start over. I think we'll move on to creating a reusable template. Often the use of an 8879 is pretty automatic for CPAs, and you likely would not want to be having to place fields every single time you wanted to send it out. So let's create a template for that. We will send for signature, and we will use a template. We don't have any templates yet, so we will create this template. PDF. We will pull from the same place where I have it stored in ShareFile. Add it in. And we will set our signer roles. So we have, often there are 2 signers on an 8879, not always, but often. So we will set this one to have 2 signers. You could make another one that's just for a single signer. Signer 2. And we'll go into placing our fields. We will set our text fields for the socials. And remember, you can resize and move these so that they're lined up all nice. Set our signature fields. And our date fields. Now we want to make sure and set each one for the proper signer. So the first ones are for signer 1. We'll click into the seconds and assign them to signer 2. Same for signatures. Signer 2. And we'll set both the dates for set to date of execution, just for ease. Into our next step. And we can name the template. So we're going to do 8879 2 signers. And you can put a description. You can set your security options now or when you send the actual document. I would recommend doing it when you send the document. And you can save the template. Templates there ready to use whenever you are ready to send a document. So let's go back to the dashboard here. I just wanted to show you a couple of things. We have an admin view here. If you have the permission to be able to see all documents that were sent by everyone at your firm, you will see this admin view and you'll be able to check it off. And you'll be able to see all documents sent by your company. Otherwise, you only see the ones you have sent. You can also search for any documents by the email address of the person you're sending to, by any of the document names, various things. Status, you can choose any of the statuses to see what you've got going on in each section. So one other thing, let's have a look at creating a signature for bulk send. So bulk send, you can send to up to 300 documents at a time, and they can only be a template for a single signer. We don't have this ability for more than one signer. So if you have a document you need to send out to many people, from 5 to 300. You can bulk send using a template that's been set for just a single signer role. So that's all for me for today. If there are any further questions, anything that we, didn't touch on here in our first portion, please put your questions in the Q&A and we'll do some live answers once Greg's portion has been done. So thanks so much to everybody for today. Bye-bye.
So next up, what we're going to take a look at is the client experience. So we're going to step into our client's shoes and see what signing looks like from their perspective. And we'll take a look at just going through the signature request without having an account on your ShareFile account. But then I'll also show on the flip side of that how it would look from the new client experience when one of your clients that you already have set up in your account receives a signature request notification. And then we'll touch on the completed document security and compliance. We'll understand how ShareFile ensures that every signed document is protected with the audit logs, hash checksums, and signature certificate that includes this information once the document is executed. So without further ado, you're seeing here I'm in my Gmail account. So the file that Mary Lou configured had multiple signers. This account here that I'm showing you will be that first signer in that order. So we'll go ahead and open up the email here, and it's going to have some information on who it was sent by. Since this does have multiple signers, the status is pending, and even once I complete my signature as the first signer, that status will be pending until all signers have completed the document. If you put any custom text, Mary Lou showed that earlier there was a field for custom text that would also show up here in the body of the email. And so we have a link here, review and sign document, that will go directly into that file. But I also did want to highlight the fact that if you already had a client user in your system and they go into the new client portal, they will have an open task within this web UI showing that they have to complete or sign off on a document. So this perspective here is going to be if this person doesn't have an account, you can send a signature request to anybody. They don't have to necessarily have a login to your ShareFile tenant. They can just simply click the link and it will open up the document. So let's go ahead and go through the signature process here. So the first thing first, we're going to have to agree with the terms of use and to the e-sign consent. And both of these can be clicked on to find out more information. So we'll go ahead and continue accepting those. And this is our signing experience. So you have the document is the main focus. On the right-hand side, you're going to have all the fields that are available or that are required. And switching between these will actually go to the field within the document space. You do have details. This is similar to the information that was provided in the email, but it's essentially just going to give you information like the sender, the due date, and the ID of this file in particular. Other buttons you have up at the top, you're going to have accessibility options. So there are keyboard shortcuts if you'd like to use those. The question mark here is going to open up our frequently asked questions. If your client was curious, like, is this a legal binding document? This goes through some information there. It talks about that. And then we'll also touch on the signature certificate a little bit later once we complete this document. So that's there for you. We also have more options. So if this is a lengthy signature request, there's a lot of fields. Maybe things have to be typed in and you need to come back to it. You can simply save your progress. If the option is granted, you can download the original PDF. This won't have any filled fields in it. Or you can completely decline the document, and this will kind of stop the document workflow, and it will notify the person who created the signature request. Navigating through the document, again, if there's a lot of fields, you can simply click next to go to the next field. We also have a little arrow back up if you want to go to the previous field. So we'll go ahead and we'll put in our name, and we'll just say first signer, just so we know on the completed document which one was which. And then we'll just put a random number in here for security purposes. Okay. And we'll use the right nav over here to click down to the signature. Now it's going to pre-populate with a typed out signature, but you do have the option to draw as well. So we'll go ahead and do this. Beautiful signature there. We'll go ahead and say add. So once we feel like the document is completed here, we are notified here with a green banner showing that, hey, we have completed all the required fields. We can go ahead and submit. At this point, it's going to ask us, are you sure that you want to submit? Once we submit this signature, we cannot go back. It's going to immediately go to the next signer on the list. So if we're happy with that, we'll go ahead and submit. So now since this document has multiple signers, it is actually not completed. So there won't be a button here to download the completed document, but we do have the option to click this link to go back into it. And it's going to show the next person that's in the line, and then some basic details around that document itself. All right, so we'll go back to my email. You can see here that we did get a notification that we have completed our part, and then a link directly to the document. So let me go ahead and get to my other email here, and we'll go ahead and do the second signer. So you can see here, this is a similar email that I got for the second signer. You can see that the status is still pending. So we'll go ahead and grab this link. We'll go ahead and complete this signature request. Give this just a moment. All right, and this should look familiar. This is going to be the same process that our first signer went through. We're going to agree with the terms of use, privacy policy, and e-sign consent. Go ahead and click continue. Same kind of navigation, same options we have. We'll go ahead and quickly fill this out for time's sake. And we'll just say Greg, signer 2. Put some we'll scroll down a little bit. We'll go ahead. We'll just keep the typed out signature. All right, everything looks good. We'll go ahead and submit. And so now that this document is actually completed, it's executed, we can review the signed document, and we can also download the completed document. So let's take a look at some of the security options we mentioned earlier. So we went to review this. All parties have signed, gives the details around who sent it. And then every signature that goes through ShareFile for a signature workflow is going to get a right signature or progress signature certificate. Now, what this does, this part is going to really help making this a legally binding document. It's going to give a reference number, so that's going to be in case something goes wrong, maybe technical support needs to get involved. This reference number is going to be a reference directly to this signed document. There's going to be further details about the transaction type, when it was sent, when the document was completed or executed. It's going to give some details around passcode if that was required, the file name, number of pages, file size, and the original checksum here. This is important. So the checksum is going to be specifically for the original document. If you were to download it, this is going to ensure if you needed to check the file to ensure that it's not been tampered with. And same thing, we also have the completed signed document, including the signature certificate here, and that checksum as well. Scrolling down a little bit here, this is going to give more detailed information about the actual signers and where they're signing from. This is going to give the device that they're connecting from, a preview of the signature, IP addresses, and then the timestamp of when they actually signed it. And then continuing down on the signature certificate here, we have the complete audit. So this is going to give everything from when the document was created and when it was emailed, opened, signed, all that good stuff. So if you are an organization that needs this kind of audit logs, that's available to you. Alternatively, if you are an administrator on the account or you're the person who sent out this document, if we go back into ShareFile here, I'm in the signatures tab. I'm logged in as an administrator that has access to all the these signature documents. So I simply switch to admin view. So if I turn that off, these are just documents that I've sent out. But if I wanted to see all documents and I have that permission, I can switch to admin view. And here's that document that we just completed. I can go back in there. I can see the details and the full activity log. So similar to what was shown on the certificate, that information can be found there. All right, so that kind of wraps up going through the client experience, taking a look at the email notification that comes through for those users who receive a signature request and maybe don't have an account and go straight to sign the document versus the new client portal, having the open task directly in their portal, and then actually going through that signature flow, going through the required fields, completing the document, and then also taking a look at the signature certificate that's attached to the end of the document.